everybody, it's A, and today I'm going to be talking about dysautonomia, which is another thing I have. My hair is even messier than it usually is, but we're going to go with it. What is dysautonomia, you may ask? Dysautonomia is a term for a group of diseases that include postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, which is the one I have, and other ones that I don't really need to read because I don't have them. I have postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, which is, and this is taken directly from Wikipedia again, a condition in which a change from the supine position to an upright position causes an abnormally large increase in heart rate called tachycardia. Other symptoms of an orthostatic nature occurring in response to upright posture may accompany the tachycardia. So for me, that means that if I'm laying down, my heart rate is like pretty normal, like a little higher than everyone else, but pretty normal. But if I sit up or if I stand up, my heart rate skyrockets. And then my case of it is a little different because in most people with POTS, the abbreviation for postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, which I will be using throughout this video, is POTS. In most people with POTS, if they stand up, their blood pressure will drop. Mine is naturally very, very low, but when I stand up, it doesn't move. Because when you stand up, your blood pressure is supposed to raise so that all the blood gets pumped to your brain, but mine doesn't move at all. And then at some points, it will drop, like drastically. But yeah, that's pretty much what it is. How did I get POTS, you may ask? Well, the summer before 8th grade, I went to Quechee Gorge, which is in Vermont, with my friend and her family, and another friend. And there, I almost drowned, so I got water in my lungs. And then a week or two later, I went to Cape Cod with another friend and her family. So there, I almost drowned again, so I got more water in my lungs. And due to that, I developed pneumonia. A really bad case of double pneumonia, which it's like the infection is, or whatever is in both of your lungs. So I got that. They put me on steroids to get rid of it, and it didn't go away. It was so bad. At that point, this will tie into another video about a different illness I have. I sprained my ankle too, in both of those places. So I was bedridden pretty much the rest of the summer, because I constantly had lung infections, and they just would not go away. I was seeing my asthma and allergy doctor like twice a week, just trying to get it to go away, and it wouldn't. I was so sick, and I was constantly dizzy, and we just attributed that to the infections. Because I was getting ear infections too, and they were like, oh, maybe it's just like you're getting dizzy from that. That summer ends. I'm still consistently dizzy and still constantly getting lung infections, like constantly getting pneumonia at least every month, and then once it turned to winter, I would get bronchitis at least every month. Constantly having lung infections, constantly having ear infections. And that lasted for about 2 years, actually. I was having a lot of lung infections. During 8th grade, I had to be taken out of gym class because I couldn't walk without fainting, and I developed ways to not faint at school where I would be able to tell before I was going to faint. So I would sit and I would avoid fainting, but I was constantly fainting at home. I barely left my bed. It was really hard. I could barely walk. My middle school wasn't big, but it was decently big, and I couldn't walk from one class to the other without getting in there out of breath and then almost fainting when I sat down. So I was pretty much exercise intolerant at that point completely. I mean, I still am, but that was when I started getting exercise intolerant, which means that my body couldn't handle any sort of exertion or exercise. Was in 8th grade, and I was just like constantly missing school because I felt sick all the time because I was still getting lung infections, but I was constantly getting pneumonia and infections, and I was constantly on steroids and antibiotics, and oh god, it was not, I can barely remember 8th grade because of it. So I was missing a lot of school. I was consistently late. I had to get dismissed a lot. So I was leaving early, getting in late, and then missing school for countless doctor's appointments. So I was a frequent flyer at the nurse, and we had 2 or 3 nurses, I think, and one of them was the one that I just ended up always being there when she was there. I also have asthma. I've had it my whole life. So I had to have my mom sign a paper to have my inhaler in school. And so I'd forgotten to give that paper in, so during health class I got called down to the nurse's office to get a new paper. And when I went down there, she was like, sit down. It's like, okay. Thought I was just getting a paper. She goes, so you've been dealing with this dizzy thing, right? You still haven't figured out what it is? I'm like, yeah, we don't know. None of my doctors know. We have to go see some specialists. She goes, well, I used to have another student who had something, oh, I can't remember the name. She goes, okay, give me a minute. Does your teacher care? What are you doing in class? I was like, we're just watching like a movie. It doesn't really matter too much. I've already seen it. She's like, okay, that's fine. So just sit down. I'm gonna go look this up on the computer, try to find the name of it for you. She goes, all of a sudden, she goes, okay, I found it. She prints out a Wikipedia article for postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. And she's like, I used to have a student who had this, and it really does sound like what you're going through. I looked at it. I was like, oh my god. This is exactly what's happening to me. Like, the best moment of the past year was reading this paper, and it says exactly what's happening to me. I was like, oh my god, thank you. And like, I came home and I was like, Mom, look, this, she read it, and she was like, oh my god, this is what you have, like, 100%. I go to Boston Children's Hospital for most of my things. I've been going my whole life because I've had health issues my whole life. So we made an appointment with a cardiologist there. And we came in with our stack of research that we had done ourselves and treatment plans of other people that have it, and just like we researched a lot before we came in. And we sit down and I'm like, I've been having these symptoms, and I'm almost sure I have postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. He kind of looks at us and he's like, we give him our paper, and he's looking over it. He goes, hold on a moment. He leaves the room. We're like, okay. He comes back. Turns out he had to go look it up. He had to go look it up. If you're in the Massachusetts area and you are a minor and you are seeking a diagnosis for this, I would not recommend going to Boston Children's Hospital, because they do not do a tilt table test, which is the diagnostic test for POTS. Just a little tip, I wouldn't recommend going there for a diagnosis, but it worked out for me. So most people that have this for more than a few years have it the rest of their life. And since mine is connected to a genetic condition that I have, which I will talk about in another video, I'm probably going to have this the rest of my life. There are ways to manage it, but none of them have worked for me. Usually the first step is drink a lot of water and eat very salty foods. Add salt to everything you eat. It doesn't do anything. Increase your electrolytes. Didn't do anything. Try this medicine. Try that medicine. Nothing has worked for me, but we're still trying. We'll see. If you want to have a conversation about this, feel free to talk about it with me in the comments or on my Tumblr or any social media that you'd like. But if you want to hear more about this, let me know. I can make more videos talking about the treatments I've gone through and stuff. Please don't comment things like, you need to try yoga, meditation, acupuncture. I don't want to hear that kind of stuff. I'm sorry, but like, please don't. Don't try to treat me in the comments or diagnose me with something else. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed that. You can watch yesterday's Vedim over here. You can subscribe over here if you'd like to. Give it a like if you liked it. My name is A. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.